Sony looks to make a little extra money off their clean versions of their cuts of their movies by selling those clean version cuts to regular people. Meanwhile, a woman in Florida gives birth to a record-setting size baby in her county. And Fox News' Neil Cavuto says the real trouble with Donald Trump is Donald Trump. I wonder if I've heard that before. Those conversations and a few others, a light day of messaging, but we got a few out there and talked to you for a bunch of things on yesterday. So let's call today what it is. It's the recap for today, or daily recap podcast, I should say, for June the 8th, 2017. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne, your host for This is the Conversations Daily Recap Podcast and the weekly wrap-up podcast, which we'll record on tomorrow, the Friday of the week. We also do everything online via This is a Conversation, our website, thisistheconversation.com, and our handles on social media. Find us at Twitter, @_conversation, and on Facebook, look for This is the Conversation. Why do you want to look for those things? Well, we tend to pull some of the most interesting and trending topics out there on the web, put them out there for you to talk about, interact with, let us know what's important, and we repeat them back here every single day. We also do a couple things on the website which are really cool. Because we are about opinions, we try to gather you and your opinions for people who are willing to pay you for your opinions. There are companies out there who want to get your opinions in surveys on products, on information, on politics as well. So we connect those people with you people, and we get a little change off the side and get you a little change as well. It's pretty simple. Go to thisisaconversation.com/survey panel, and you can apply for the survey panel. And it's pretty simple. You fill out a form, and if we see you're in a category that we're looking for a survey, we pre-qualify you right there. We send you the survey, you do it, we pay you directly to your PayPal account. Now, let's go ahead and do this quickly. Not a lot of conversations that we had yesterday. A crazy day in the office, if you will. And, of course, a lot of the news turned into focus, that has been all week, actually, on James Comey's testimony, which is actually today, the 8th day of June, happening in about 40 minutes from now when I'm actually recording this to get this out for our 9 o'clock Central deadline. So we will be basically wall-to-wall James Comey everywhere, all over the place. So probably not a lot of conversations to talk about for tomorrow. We'll look for a couple things and probably do some movie-type stuff since we'll be working towards a Friday. But because most things got on Comey, including some Comey that snuck in last night that took over some things, we will do what we got to do with. And that what we do with, starting off with, was a very serious attack in Tehran, Iran. Parliament and a shrine in Tehran were attacked by gunmen, literally bullets firing off in those areas that were later claimed responsibly claimed, to say that more correctly, by ISIS. ISIS says they had people in Tehran and they did this thing. ISIS has taken a lot of bold steps lately. If they did actually inspire or directly plot the incident that happened in London over the weekend and in Manchester 2 weekends before that, and just kind of general terrorist stuff right now. We do know that the guy with the hammer in Paris was literally just a one-off thing, but everything else has seemed to be a bigger push by ISIS to cause a bit more extra instability to sort of balance the instability that we are causing ourselves with our American president. Sorry for being kind of political on that one, but it sort of is happening. More on that guy in a minute. But first, let's talk about Sony. This is a story that I actually saw a couple of days ago. Didn't get into the conversations because, honestly, it seemed like it was going to be a slow day, so it was a good day for this. Now, Sony Pictures produces lots and lots of movies, lots of pretty good movies, the movies that you've seen all over the place. What they also do for airlines and television, the TV versions of the movies you see on regular TV on a Saturday afternoon. It's like, oh, there's no football on. What's this thing called a movie on? Or if you're riding in an airplane and you're watching a version of a movie, you'll see those versions of the movies where things are very clean. All the curses are taken out, all the sexual references taken out, nudity, obviously. Sometimes things are redubbed and kind of removed, and some of your very favorite scenes just don't seem to be there all of a sudden. This happened most notably for me way back in the day. One of my favorite movies is Blazing Saddles, and back in the day when I was younger, when these things were on TV all the time, it used to play on TV all the time. And then all of a sudden, it started playing and there were, certain scenes cut out. We got a video copy of a VHS copy of it and started watching it, and then it came on TV, and I noticed there was a very just a couple of funny scenes that just weren't there every time it came on TV, and it came on TV all the time as a filler. Just because it's good filler. People watch these things. It comes on the air, you watch it, and you'll get into it. Sony is releasing some of these clean version videos, calling it the Clean Version Initiative, and they'll let you buy the clean version of the video, the movie, so you can watch it with your family, as opposed to just a regular rated R or sometimes the super uncut scenes where things are really, really raunchy. They'll let you go the other direction. Buy a cleaned up version of something that you love so that you can watch it with your kids. Some other people in these movies, including a very strong tweet by Seth Rogen, who, of course, makes some pretty naughty movies that do get cleaned up for TV and the airplane rides. Not very happy about this. Donald Trump set off a tweet early in the morning, and of course, the day before, we talked about Sean Spicer saying that his tweets are official messages from the POTUS, so they're real and they can be spectacular. Christopher Wray is now your new nominee for director of the FBI, and he comes from outside of the home ground of the Justice Department, an outside guy. He did work in the Department of Justice, did work some legal things for the government, but not exactly one of the guys in the intelligence agency familia. He did do some work, did then spend some time being a government lawyer, doing some time as being a personal lawyer. He was actually Chris Christie's personal lawyer for a while, which is probably how one got to another in this thing. But Christopher Wray, who is pretty well respected, but will be the next nominee for FBI director. We'll see how well that happens. And, of course, after we listen to some commentary from today's trial, or I should say at least hearing for James Comey, an FBI director, we'll see what questions Christopher Wray will get when he is grilled about coming into the position under Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Fox News' Neil Cavuto had a couple words to say in a segment he put on his show 2 days ago. This, of course, a couple days in a recap. It takes a while sometimes for these things to get to everyone if you're not watching every single channel. And it's something where it's a kind of a oddity for Fox News to call out Donald Trump. But this is a personal calling out of Donald Trump by a person on Fox News who's very well respected. Sometimes you'll hear people say things about Chris Wallace going off the reservation for asking pointed questions towards the Trump administration on things that don't quite make sense. Neil Cavuto doing the same thing, essentially, and going directly at Donald Trump, telling him in a commentary, well, telling the people in a commentary about Donald Trump, that the problem Donald Trump has isn't with the people around him. The problem that Donald Trump has isn't with the mainstream media attacking him. The problem with Donald Trump is Donald Trump scapegoating the people around him and the mainstream media who aren't reporting on him. The problem that Donald Trump has is his Twitter addiction, his need to interject his words into every single conversation in order to make sure that he is perfectly clear, and in the process, making it perfectly clear that he doesn't understand the process of getting things out in government. Donald Trump, in personal opinion, is proving that he doesn't get how government works. He doesn't get how anything works other than being the owner of his own thing and being the bully of the thing and owing nothing other than something to maybe some shareholders who are they're getting paid, they're happy, and the bank who, if they're getting paid, they let things slide. When things don't work out, the bank's not getting paid and shareholders get mad. It's like Frankenstein and the villagers. Here, it's like that all the time in the government because you cannot make everybody happy. You can't just put your foot down and say, bam, this is going to happen, and assume that everybody who doesn't like it just falls in line, because sometimes those people that don't like it suffer because of a choice that goes to other people. Sometimes it's just got slight suffering. Sometimes it's something like we're dealing with the fact of people losing insurance in Obamacare. They will suffer. Maybe it will happen because it has to happen. Maybe it will happen because they overplayed it. But Donald Trump's problem, says Neil Cavuto, is the fact that he has to jump into every single thing and touch the button on every single piece and not back out of the way and let his people, who should have the power and the ability to do some jobs. A Florida woman gives birth to a record-setting baby in her county. Now, 10-pound, 6-ounce babies are well, they're big. They're pretty big, and they're pretty rare, and it was a rare case there as well. This is another one of those stories that came out in the morning that I pushed off to later in the day because it seemed like it was going to be a slower day, and that's what we wrapped up with. Of course, if you didn't know, I didn't have a tweet in this, so I'll drop it here anyway, though. The Warriors did win Game 3 in Cleveland of the NBA Finals. So we're not going to overhype that, but if they do win Game 4 happening on Friday, that means they will have gone 12-0 in the playoffs, something that's never happened before. The bulk of this squad already owns the record for the highest number of games won in a regular season. Of course, that season was last season when they lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers in the finals for the actual championship. That was the grinding point for that one. They had the best record of the season, best record ever, but they did not get the title. This year, of course, don't forget that last year Cleveland was down 2-0 as well before they ended up winning their championship as well. This year Cleveland is the underdog, even though they have the best player in the game. What they don't have is a defense for the newest addition to the players on Golden State Warriors, a great player by the name of Kevin Durant, one of the best players, if not the best, who there is no answer for at the moment. He's doing everything that the other squad, which is basically the same guys, were doing plus some. An extra weapon is making it harder for Cleveland Cavaliers to step up. LeBron James having 3 amazing games this series and playing pretty well all in since the tail end of the regular season, but his supporting cast not stepping up like it did last year to make things happen. That was not a tweet, but I wanted to throw that in there. And our first message for the day, and it's silly the way I put the headline, so I apologize for that. I'm going to read the headline as I wrote it, okay? Phil Collins cancels shows after falling and hitting his head on the way to the toilet. Now, that's actual what happened. A statement on his Facebook page, which is what we linked to here, it goes from his manager saying that Phil Collins had to cancel a couple upcoming shows. What happened was he had some surgery lately, and he's under some medication and having some issues with walking, literally having issues walking around. He's had some minor issues. He's kind of an old guy, so he's still moving around for the most part as best as possible, but a recent minor surgery is causing some issues in his recovery. He's still performing, still getting on stage, just not being as mobile as often. What happened last night was he got up in the middle of the night, and because he's having issues with balance and things like that, he slipped on his way to the bathroom. He didn't really fall into the toilet, but because they called the bathroom the toilet as a general nomenclature, that's what happened. So Phil Collins not doing a couple shows for a couple weeks because he fell. And no, I've fallen and can't get up jokes on that one, because Phil Collins, one of a very respected musicians, one of my favorite musicians, to be honest. And this was something that kind of popped out this morning as something that will be talked about. It is trending all over the place on the Twitter this morning, so it's something that will pop up there. But the headline, a little mean, I'm sorry, but it's just how it came out there. Of course, as we said, today is the actual 8th of June, so we'll have a couple Comey things. We'll probably post a link to live streaming of the Comey testimony right at 9 o'clock, and we'll have some recaps from the day from some various people in various places on what they thought of the things. And, of course, what we're waiting to see is Donald Trump going to live tweet his responses to things going on, which, if this were a court case, an actual court case, I think his lawyers would probably break his hands, but he'd probably get Alexa and then, tell Alexa to tweet it out, and we can just get around that way. We'll see what the drama will unfold in Washington, D.C. We'll see if any extra drama unfolds anywhere around the world, and we will do our best to throw those conversations out to you out there in the cyberspaces. You can find us and get real time with our conversations by following us on Twitter, @TH_conversation, following us on Facebook with This Is the Conversation. And our main website, you can also respond there, because every single tweet we post gets reposted as an actual physical post on the website, thisisaconversation.com. Stop by the website. We have plenty of great features on there, including a Google chart that shows the most popular topics going on right now. Some things we get to, some things we back away from because they're kind of overdone. But you can see what people are searching for in real time. It's basically a real-time thing. It's delayed by maybe an hour or so based on the search results of what's going out there in the world. And, of course, we ask you to check out our sponsors page and see if one of our fine sponsors can help you take care of something you need, because they are fine sponsors. In the meantime, I always like to stop right here and just give long, profuse thanks for you being here, because you give me a reason to get up and do this thing every day. You give me a reason to get up and check the news and go through the feed and do all the things it does to technically make our thing work. And talking to you guys, having conversations, having the tweets and retweets and the Facebook messages is just awesome. So send more messages, send more feedback, subscribe to this podcast if you're getting the podcast somewhere from Spreaker or Stitcher or iTunes. And, of course, give us some ratings and reviews so that we can tell other folks how good we are, or how bad we are, if you will. And the big thing we need you to do is come back tomorrow. Chat with us on social media live so we can see your responses. You can tell us which one of these stories are the best or most responded to, most important, or just most interesting to you throughout the day. And then listen to the recap every single day, Monday through Friday, with the daily recap podcast, and Saturdays with the weekly wrap-up podcast for the top 10 stories of the week, plus the things that we think are pretty important to talk about. And very soon, I know, I promised it. Sometimes life and schedules get in the way, but very soon we're going to incorporate this interview into the weekly podcast so you can hear from someone else other than me what someone on the outside thinks about the news of the week, of the day, of what's going on. So enough rattling. This is supposed to be a short one, so I'm wrapping up, signing off, getting out. Thank you so much for joining us. Join us for more great fun things tomorrow. We're coming to you from This is Conversation Now.